Hi all, my name is Vishnu Dutt, and in this video we will see how a particular host in SDXS moves across switches or host mobility. When we started our discussion on Lisp or location identity separation protocol, I mentioned that Lisp separates location of a device with its identity, and the major use case is the mobility, right? We understood this with an analogy on how mobile system network works, correct? Let's see how mobility is achieved in SDXS environment. Let's consider this diagram. Here we have three switches. Now I have deliberately changed the names of these switches from access switch to edge switch so that we start talking in terms of SDXS terminology. So the switches that face the endpoints are known as edge switches. Host A is connected with edge switch 1 and host B is connected with edge switch 3. Both of these hosts are part of same VLAN and the VLAN number is 10. As we have discussed, once these hosts gets their IP address from DHCP, edge switches send information about them to control plane node and control plane node starts filling its database as part of host registration process. Suppose after successful host registration, control plane node has populated its database with these entries here. Okay. Please pause the video and have a look at these entries. Okay. So we are good till now, right? One important observation here is that all edge switches have switched virtual interface configured for VLAN 10. And interestingly, the MAC address of all these SVI interfaces is same, which is C colon C colon C, right? Actually, here we are discussing about distributed anycast gateway concept. But again, to understand any new concept, we should know why at the first place it comes into existence, right? So let's discuss this. Suppose for any reason the host A disconnects itself from edge switch 1 and attach itself with edge switch 2, correct? This is a clear example of mobility, right? When this host connects itself with switch 2, I want to retain its IP address and default gateway for seamless roaming. Let's draw this. So let's assume this host is not here and I have removed this cable, this one. Host A is here now and I don't want to change its IP address. Okay, so IP address will be the same, which is 192.168.10.10. This is good. Now, if I don't want to change the default gateway of this host, which is 192.168.10.1, I need to configure the SVI for VLAN 10 on this switch also, right? MAC address will also be the same, as we know that MAC value of A colon A colon A is already in ARP table of host A, correct? And I don't want that host A again resolve this MAC address corresponding to IP address, right? Through obviously through our protocol. To achieve all this, we have configured SVI with same IP address and MAC address on all the edge switches, correct? Generally, in a layer 2 environment, such configuration will give you an error message for duplicate IP address in the same VLAN. But in SDXS, this is the default configuration, which is one of the reason of seamless mobility. Correct? Now let's see what are the various changes in database of control plane node. When this host attaches itself here and gets the IP address from DHCP server, the process of host registration starts, right? On learning, host A is connected to one of its port. Edge switch 2 sends a map register message to control plane node that contains IP and MAC address information of host A. Control plane node creates an entry in its database. So let's fill this entry. In IP2 orlock table, we write host A with IP address 192.168.10.10 is reachable over remote location 10.0.0.2. In MAC2 orlock table, let's write MAC address A colon A colon A is reachable over remote location 10.0.0.2. Finally, ARP resolution can be deduced from the first two entries. That is 192.168.10.10 has MAC address value of A colon A colon A. So here is the problem. Second entry says that host A is reachable from remote location 10.0.0.1 or at switch 1. On the other hand, third row says that host A is reachable over location 10.0.0.2 or at switch 2, right? As third entry is the latest information, control plane node believes that and sends an update message to switch A so that it can delete the entry corresponding to host A from its layer 2 forwarding table. So now when host B wants to communicate to host A and ask control plane about the location of host A, control plane replies with the new location, which is 10.0.0.2. Hence, switch 3 sends the VXLAN encapsulated packet to location 10.0.0.2 instead of 10.0.0.1, right? So control plane node tracks current location of each host in SDX's fabric. So far, so good. One important question here is that in previous videos, I mentioned that one of the benefits of using SDXs is that we don't have to extend the VLANs because it creates large spanning tree domain, right? But here we can see that on every edge switch, we have created the VLAN number 10, right? Isn't the above statement is ambiguous? I would say no. Let's clear this doubt. As you can see that we are not running trunk links between the switches, and all the links between them, these links here, are layer 3 links. So there is no point of extending spanning tree domain, correct? Other important thing is VLAN number is not much of significance here, and it is local to the switch itself. Let's try to understand my last statement. Suppose here, instead of assigning VLAN number 10 on this switch, I assign VLAN 300. Okay, all other parameters are same, which means IP address will be 192.168.10.10 and default gateway will be 192.168.10.1. What do you think? Can now these two hosts, host A and host B, can communicate with each other? Yes? No? So I would answer, okay, they can communicate with each other. And the reason is that here we have concept of layer 2 VNI, correct? So on switch 2, suppose the layer 2 VNI value which is mapped to VLAN 300 is 500, and on switch 3 the same VNI value 500 is mapped to VLAN 10. Now, when switch 2 sends VXLAN encapsulated packets towards switch 3, it marks VNI value as 500 in VXLAN header so that when this packet reaches to switch 3 knows it needs to send it to VLAN 10 because VNI value 500 is mapped to VLAN 10, right? Correct? So VLAN number isn't of much significance here, but still it's a best practice to have the same VLAN number configured across the switch fabric. So far we are good. That if a host moves from one switch to a different switch in SDXs, what are the different changes happen in control plane node and how it tracks the current location of the endpoints. Correct? One more thing to note here is that we have multiple switched virtual interfaces with the same IP address and same MAC address. So what happens if we ping this IP address? The IP address on this switched virtual interface. Interesting, right? Which of the three switches will reply to the ping request? And the answer is no one. None of the switch will reply as this IP address is not advertised in any routing protocol and is local to the switch. And still, we can differentiate this IP address on the basis of remote location, right? For example, host B is connected to switch 3. If any other host in the same if any other host in some different VLAN wants to communicate with this host, it doesn't identify this host on the basis of SVI, right? On the contrary, this host is identified on the basis of remote location, which is 10.0.0.3. Correct? So a remote host needs to forward the packet to 10.0.0.3 instead of its default gateway, right? Once the packet reaches at 10.0.0.3 or switch 3, it knows how to forward these packets to host P. It needs to forward it to SVI configured on itself or this SVI, this one, correct? Please have a look at the video where I discussed about inter-VLAN communication and layer 3 VNI. All these concepts are really important in understanding SDX's fabric operations. I hope you have enjoyed this video. See you in next one.